Muhammad Talib. We took from chapter 1 and we ended with chapter 4 yesterday. Umar, don't worry, all tutors have been informed that they need to accept the students' presentations and they need to appreciate their circumstances and the current circumstances. So don't worry, just follow up with him. Tell him that you want to have your presentation submitted as soon as possible, because all the grades of the presentations should be delivered by next week, inshallah. So just keep following him, okay? آمين وياك يا رب. طيب, good. The number of the participants has raised, so we can start now. I'm gonna change the process of the revision. We will not do questions and answers at the beginning and then I explain the chapter and then you ask. I'm gonna explain it and then you ask, so that will make it faster, because in this way we're not going to be finishing before the take-home exam or before the quiz. I want to finish as much as possible from the chapters before you take your quiz, so we will be ready whether the quiz will include all chapters or the midterm chapters. Okay? Any question before we start? Okay. طيب. ممتاز. So let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In chapter 5, we will learn about the small businesses and entrepreneurship. And at the end, we will learn what do we mean by franchising. What's the difference between an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship and small businesses or a small business owner? The key word here is the innovation. Both are individuals who are starting up their own business. Both are creating a new business. Both are having their own business and they are managing and operating it on their own. Yet the difference that the entrepreneur will be more innovative in the business idea. He will not just come up with any business like a grocery shop or a laundry or the normal small business owners do. In the entrepreneurship, the click is to provide an innovative service or to create something new with your business. Okay, so here we have defined the process of entrepreneurship. إيش الفرق? What's the difference between entrepreneurship and entrepreneur? Entrepreneurship هي ريادة الأعمال. To be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur رائد الأعمال. Okay, إنه جاني السؤال ده كتير. I received this question many times on my email. Okay. And we have what we call the social entrepreneur. The social entrepreneur, it's the same idea of having an entrepreneur to create something new, yet this project should be addressing some social problems, like we have or we used to have in Saudi Arabia, some employment issues with employing women. So Khalid Al-Khadir prepared or had created a new entrepreneurship or a new business that is based on a website called Glow Work to enable more women to join the Saudi workforce. Okay? And we also defined excuse me, the small business, and we said it's also then an independently owned and operated business that is not dominant, that is not superior among its competitive area or among its competition, which means if it's, for example, we have the grocery shop in front of your house, is it as competitive as Banda or Carrefour? Of course not. That's what we mean here, that it's not dominant, it's not known as the big businesses are. Okay, and when we say small, it's relative because it depends on the regulation government in this country to define the small business. For example, in the US, they define the small business which is employing less than 500 individuals. And we talked about innovation. Innovation means الابتكار, to create something new. And the small firms produce more than half of the innovation. And many of today's largest business started off as small firms that used innovation to achieve success. Here we have some great entrepreneurs of innovative companies. We have HP, Walt Disney, Starbucks, Amazon, Ford, General Electric. All of these are examples of the most well-known entrepreneurship, and here are the names of the entrepreneurs. For example, Amazon, the entrepreneurship is Amazon. The entrepreneur رائد الأعمال اللي سواها, that created it, was Jeff Bezos, and so on. And this is important. Here we have yes, ya Muhammad. Quickly, ya Muhammad. Ford, yeah, they yes, when they started Ford, it was considered as an entrepreneurship. Don't think about it now. Think about it when it was firstly charted. Okay? Okay. And here we have some successful traits for young entrepreneurs. There are some personality traits that allow anyone to be an entrepreneur, or if these personality traits were available in any individual, we can say that this individual is an entrepreneur. They should be intuitive, which means that they rely on their intuition rather than the reasoning. They are productive, which means they can produce large amounts of the products in a short time. And they are resourceful, which means they understand how to use the resources wisely. They have a good charisma. They have a good, they can affect others with their personality. They are innovative. As I told you, the key word in the entrepreneurship is the innovation, to create or come up with the new ideas and creative ideas. They are also risk takers, because when they come up with these new ideas, they are not sure whether this new business, this new or creative project will work or will be successful in the market or not. So they should pursue the risky attempts, whether that will end up with a failure or success. And of course, they should be persistent. Persistent means musir, which means they should keep up, they should continue doing what they are doing in spite of any obstacles that they may face. And of course, they should be friendly, that they should have a good beneficial interactions with people. And here we have the small business advantages and disadvantages. I think they are easy. And here are the descriptions of each of these advantages and disadvantages. I'm not going to go through them because they are easy. Do you want me to explain them? Any question about them? Hello? Okay, great. Okay, Muhammad, here. The advantages of the small businesses. What would be the best thing when you have your own business? It means that you will be your own boss, and to create a new business, especially if you have this business as a digital platform, it will cost you less money, and you will be able to adapt to any change, because you don't have a board of directors that you have to take their permission and to vote on a certain decision. It will make you more adaptive and more flexible to change. And usually and basically the small business, they will be focusing on a niche market. They cannot serve the whole market because they can't have the resources to serve the whole segments or the whole customers in the whole market. So they will be focusing with their service or with their products on a certain segment or a market niche. And we explained it in chapter 11, if you remember. We talked about marketing and the market niche. And also they have the reputation, they should have a good reputation, and they will be well known for having a good reputation for the quality and the services that they are delivering. And as for the disadvantages, on the other hand, that the small business could add up to the stress level of the owner of the small business, because he will be worried about whether the business will continue or not, about attracting new customers, about acquiring new suppliers, and so on. And there is a good chance for the business to fail. 5 out of 100 small business, they usually fail after 5 years, and they will be worried about the undercapitalization, lack of funds for funding the business, and offering the financial resources to run the business and continuing the business. And they could not have enough managerial experience, and maybe they will mess up the business because they don't have enough information about how to manage the business, and inability to cope with growth, maybe because they don't have enough fund, or maybe because they lack the experience, maybe they feel like they are not up to it, or so on. Okay? Okay. Any question regarding the advantages and the disadvantages, Muhammad Talib? You're welcome, my dear. Okay, now let's move on to, this is important. These are the steps that should be followed when you want to start your small business. First, you have to come up with a concept or a general idea. You have to know what is the business is going to do. So you will sell, or you will provide what kind of service or what kind of product. You will be selling in which area, who are your customers. This is the idea. Then you have to put it in a business plan. You have to formulate the business plan, like a blueprint for the business. What exact details about the business, as I told you. You will represent the idea in written document, in a business plan. You will know who is your competition, what are the pricing strategy that you're going to follow, what are the products that you're going to produce, what are the similar products in the market that are competing your product, who are your suppliers, when you are planning to grow, and so on. Okay, and then you will have to devise a strategy for planning and development, which means how you're going to achieve that business plan by having a strategy for planning and development. And then you have to make 4 decisions. The form of the ownership. Remember when we said we have 3 main forms of ownership, which are the sole proprietorship, or partnership, or corporations. So you have to decide which form of these 3 forms of ownership you have to base your business on, and you have to decide on how you are going to fund the business, how you are going to find the financial resources for your business, either from your own money as owner financing, or debt financing. You will be taking debts or loans from banks or creditors. Okay, and then you will have to decide excuse me, you will have to decide whether to acquire an existing business, to purchase an existing business, or to start from scratch a new business. And we will read about it, and we will explain about it, what's the difference and why you should choose whether to acquire the acquisition, or to do the acquisition, or to start from scratch. And the 4th decision is, would you prefer to buy a franchise instead of starting your own business or not? So let's go through them. Number 1, start a concept or a general idea. It's clear. Number 2, create a business plan. And as we said, the business plan is a precise statement of the business rationale, why the business exists, and a step-by-step explanation of how this business will achieve its goals. And it will act as a guide and a reference document that should include, as we said, the explanation of the business, the competition, the expected income and expenses, and so on. And then we said the 4th step, if you remember here, then they will have to devise the strategies, and number 4, they have to make the decisions. The decisions first occurred upon what kind of business ownership they have to choose. And they have to decide the financing, and we said we have 2 options for financing. Let me grab a pen here. It will make it easier for you to follow me. Okay. whether to have an equity financing, which is the owner, he will or she will finance the business from their own pocket, or they have to go for debt financing. Hold on, please, it's stuck. Okay, this is the equity financing. As we said, the owner will use real personal assets rather than borrowing for funding the business. And the debt financing, it means that the business will borrow more money than what the owner will have to fund. And they can borrow money from banks, from some business incubators, or from lenders or friends and family members. And as we said, number 3, or the third decision that they have to decide on, whether to start from scratch or to acquire a new, to acquire an existing business. When they start from scratch, of course, that will be more costly and more expensive than just buying an existing business. And when they start from scratch a new business, it will need more promotional efforts to raise the awareness about the business, because the customers in a certain market or in a certain area, they don't know about you. So you will have to pay much effort or more efforts on the promotional to communicate your business, your products to the market, to the customers, and to let them know what you're doing, what the product, how the product will add value to their lives, and to familiarize the customers with the business. On the other hand, if you will choose to buy or to acquire an existing business, that has some advantages, which means that when you buy an existing business, you will buy the business and you don't need to come up with a new customers. You don't need to think of who should you buy your raw materials from, or who should be your suppliers. You don't need to think of or to worry about the distributors, because you will buy that the existing business, with its built-in network of the customers, with the suppliers, with the distributors. هتاخد البزنس بالcustomers حقته, بالsuppliers, بالdistributors. You don't have to worry about whether you have to find new ones or not. Okay? And that, of course, will reduce the ratio of the guesswork, and it will reduce the ratio of the stress that comes up with starting a new business. And on the other hand, these are the advantages. On the other hand, if the business has some problem, the business that you bought, the business that you just purchased has some problems, you will take the problems with that business. For example, if the business has some debts, it's your responsibility to pay those debts on behalf of the original owners, because you purchased that business. Okay? And here we're going to talk about franchising. Yes, from zero يا باسم. من البداية. يعني you will have two options. يا إنك تشتري business موجود، أو إنه تبدأ من زيرو، من العدم. ما في business أول. أنت حتبدأ البزنس من البداية. This is what we mean by from scratch. Okay? Clear? Perfect. Now, the fourth decision, we said here, if you remember, we have 4th decision, right? The 4th decision is to decide whether or not to buy a franchise. And as I explained to Humam at the beginning, the franchise is a license to sell others' product, or just to use their names in the business, or to do both of these, to take the license to sell their products and to use their names. Because sometimes you can take the franchise or the license only to use their names, yet the product could be similar, but the raw materials could be different, the suppliers could be different, could be national, not international, from the mother company or from the original company, or what we call the franchisor. So the company, the original company, for example, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Subways, those are called the franchisor, because these are the companies that sell the franchise. We call them the franchisor. Okay? And the company or the local company that purchases the franchise, which is the purchaser of the franchise, we call it the franchisee. Okay? So the franchisor is the company that sells the franchise, and the franchisee is the purchaser of the franchise. Okay, and franchising has some advantages and disadvantages. For example, for the advantages, you don't have to worry about training your employees about doing how to do or how to apply the service or how to prepare the product, for example, because the training and the support, all of these come from the franchisor, and already their own brand name appeal, it's appealing to the market. Otherwise, you will not purchase that license. If this brand is not lovable or it's not required by the customers in your market, you wouldn't bother to purchase the license. And of course, they can have financial assistance. If you have you're struggling financially, you can have the financial assistance from the franchisor or from the original company that you purchased the license from, and they have a greater chance of success, for example, because already, as we said, you have this brand that you purchased their franchise or the license already have a brand name appeal, so there is a greater chance for success. And for the disadvantages, for example, we can say that the fees and the profit sharing with the franchisor, which means that the money that you make by selling those products or delivering those services upon that franchise, you will have to share that profit with the franchisor. You cannot keep it to your own. And there will be restrictions on purchasing and restrictions on you have to adhere or you have to comply to the standardized operations. You cannot be innovative with the franchisers or with franchising, because you have to abide by the franchisers regulations. Most of the time, for example, Starbucks have the same ambience, they have the same appearance, they have the same colors, the same cups, right? Even if they have been purchased by a Saudi franchisee, they have to abide by the standardized operations of the original franchisor. I'm sorry. Okay, and of course that will lead to less freedom in the business decisions, because they cannot do any or take any decisions before the approval of the franchisor. Clear? And here, this is an interesting case study for you. This is an example for a franchisor, which I'm sure all of you know, Auntie Anne's pretzels. Please go through it. It's interesting to know. And here is another case study for Chobani yogurt. Please go through it. And here are some revision questions for you. Any question before we move up to chapter 6? Excuse me. We can do it later. For now, let's just move with the chapters, because I was told, yes, it's different, yeah, Mr. Z or Miss Z. It's not the same. The business plan, it's a detailed plan of the business. It will not assess whether the business will be successful or not. The feasibility study will assess, its function is to assess the feasibility of the business, whether the business will be successful or not. Okay, both will have similar items, yet the purpose of both are different. Clear? I don't know how to call you, but Mr. Z or Miss Z, is it clear? Okay. Good question. Any more question before we move forward? لا همام على طول بدينا، ما كان في شيء، بس راجعنا، ما سألت حتى اليوم. Okay, let me load the next chapter. That was which chapter? That was chapter 5, so now I need to upload chapter 6. Okay. Just give it time to upload. Do you have any question till then? Did you start studying? Hello? Excellent. Good. Yes, please do. ممتاز. Excellent يا محمد. No, please go ahead and complete, please. Because as I told you, the THE or the quiz could include all chapters. We can't decide yet because I haven't received any information from the GCC yet. So there is a big chance that the quiz could include all chapters also. Study first from the slides, ya Wissam, or Wasim, I'm sorry. Study first from the slides and then you need to read the book. Excellent منيرة حبيبتي. شطورة بنتي. And as I told you, if you didn't perform your presentation, إذا في أحد ما قدم الpresentation, please, as soon as possible, before next week, before the end of next week, you need to inform your tutor that you need to submit your presentation. It's not a joke. There is no makeup. Okay? Please, don't underestimate it. There are 80 grades on both the presentation and the quiz. The quiz will be for 40 grades and the presentation is out of 40 grades. Abir, contact your tutor. Who's your tutor, ya Abir? As I'm telling you, please don't tell me. Send it to your tutors. Okay? Contact your tutors, whoever they are. Yes, يا هديل بالضبط. حيكون في quiz and then a presentation. Sorry, a presentation المفروض الكل سواه بس اللي ما سواه you need to do it next week. Okay? And then we will have the final or the take-home exam for 1 week. No. اللي خلصوا, the ones who are already or who have already delivered their presentation, you're good. You're fine. You don't need to redo it. Okay? Excuse me. I'm just concerned about the ones who did not deliver their presentation, ya Wasim. Do we have a receive email after sending our... I don't get your point عذاري حبيبي. إيش قصدك؟ لا هي نفسها يا رؤى كمان يعني مو كل يوم ولدي الدرجة. لا حبيبي خلاص هو نفسه. We are just waiting for the GCC to tell me when will the quiz will be and when or what are the chapters included in the quiz and a confirmation that the final will include all chapters. Okay. الواجب هو البرزنتيشن وهو الكويز يا هنا. يلا يا ابني بسرعة. ها اوكي شوق يسعدك. You're welcome هنا. اوكي great. بدأ يصحى وبدأ يفتح. لا of course ميشا انتي مشاعل